Alright, what's up, guys? It's your boy Piff Beats coming to you live for the Smokecast, and I'm about to do a different type of edition right now. We're doing a solo dolo one because I was trying to get Denny to come and join me on this pod today, but he was a little caught up, so he's just going to have to hear my thoughts and just probably have to come and rebuttal it on a later pod. But if you're listening today, it's September 29th, a Friday in the US, and today marks the day of the release of the Nintendo SNES Classic. If you've been keeping up with the gaming news and what's hot with the trends, you would know this is the gaming remake of the classic system from the 90s. Oh my gosh, almost 27, almost 30 years old. We just want to round up. And it comes with like a boatload of like great games, redesign. It has a better concept. And I can run through the list of games and stuff that they have here. But for the most part, it's just that it's giving you a new package of all the classics, really feeding off your nostalgia. And there's certain elements to that I disagree with because compared to the SNES Classic, the original that came out, I believe, a year prior to this system, it was the same type of situation, extremely hyped up, prying off the previous nostalgia, the older gamers of like our years who used to grow up or played those games, and that was about I think $70. Now, the SNES Classic comes out, and granted, it does come with more software as far as games, better games, if you ask me, better quality games as far as that, too, from the graphical upgrade. And they want 90 for it. And now, I think that price point's a little bit steep. For $90, you could probably get like a Nintendo 3DS or DS or one of their lower tier systems that's probably reduced on sale or even pre-owned at GameStop, or even for the price point of 100, you could just even go in and like if you play like a Nintendo 64 or whatever. I just feel like that price is a little too steep for me. $100 for an emulator, and that's mainly the reason why I'm having the pod, because shout outs to Denny, that's my man's and all, but there's a lot of hype surrounding this. Not saying he was hyped or I was hyped, but we just know as people who follow the culture that there's a lot of hype engaged with this release. So, he went out to cop one, probably resell, keep, collect, not sure. It's up to him. It's his own personal preference. But at the end of the day, it's like what I was trying to stress to him and let him know is that I feel like this would be perfect, like say as a collector's edition. Like if you're that type of person, and like you're the gamer who collects, and you like your hard copies, and you come over and you show people your collection, like this would be perfect. It's a must have. But if you're not that person, I find this to be a ripoff. You're paying $90 for a system that technically has the same build and hardware as its predecessor, the NES Classic, and on top of that, all it is really an emulator. So once you really take a step back out of all the hype and the lore around it, this is something you could basically run on your phone if you have the right, know how to get the things or the parts needed to take this off the ground. So when you're charging somebody $100 for nostalgia, that's kind of like culture vulture in my eyes. That's how I would view it. If somebody could just easily, with just no hesitation, just say like, look, hey, I think this is worth $100, and then when you ask why, because of the depreciated value of the actual hardware and the inflated appreciation the players of that time period had, and you're gonna just hawk on that. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. And but like I understand, like, hey, it's hard to find, they don't remake it, but it's like this is stuff that's been going on for years. If anyone who had a computer or hip to the internet or knows anything about the death of Dreamcast or the turn of piracy, or have been on or had LimeWire, anybody who was a teenager, basically, you understand that this is stuff that's easily accessible. The internet gives you access to this. Not saying that's the way you should go about getting it, but when I see them charging you $100 for an emulation, I feel like it's a bit pricey compared to the SNES. It's like, how could I put it? I don't think that they shouldn't give it away. I don't think they should give it away for free. I just want to make that point clear because the more I'm talking, I start to listen to myself. I don't want anyone for a second thinking that you should go out there and not pay for stuff. Publishers should get paid. People who work hard, creators, they should all be compensated and paid for their work. That's first and foremost. But I just feel the price point that they're setting it at. I don't feel like today a digital copy of that stuff. I just feel like it. I don't feel like it is valued at $100 in this day and age. I can see some of the hard copies of some of the games that they're providing being valued at that, probably new or even in some cases used. But when you start saying a digital part, it's like maybe it's the hardware. But see, to build that emulator is not that complicated. You could get a Raspberry Pi and do that. But then I'm going back down the rabbit hole of piracy, and we're trying to get away from that. So, should you pay? Yes. Should you pay 100? No. Should you pay probably 70 or 60? Yes. You know, and to be really honest, for the people buying this, I don't really see anybody taking this home who calls themselves a hardcore gamer and investing 30 to 60 hours a week into this. I don't. Like, just really think about it. You're going to take this home, unbox it, sit down wherever you're at, your living room, bedroom, your gaming room, and be like, yo, instead of me playing my next-gen high-definition consoles, or even my phone that could give you that same type of experience, or anything in the modern day that has multiplayer and internet connectivity over, you're not going to choose the SNES Classic over that. That's basically what I'm trying to say before I trip up over my words. I don't see somebody doing that. Granted, like Denny the other night on the pod, he was like, hey, I got to go. I got a Gears of War session. Not a Gears of War, I got to finish the match. No, Gears of War session, a multiplayer interaction with friends. And I feel like that's the one bring out, there's no online features that they've implemented to make this worth 100. It's basically you're selling me the same thing from 1990 and just found a way to manufacture it cheaper, hike up the price, and that's what I have a problem with. It's not it's not about paying for it. It's not about anything like that. It's that they're just taking something that is not valued at that in this day and age and overvaluing it to me. Now, if they was to go in and say implemented, I don't know, high-res versions, or even went ahead and say online connectivity, trophy support, something small. Because think about it. All it is like one of those Sega All-Star game disc on an emulator. That's all it is. It's an emulator. Probably it's like an SD card in there with all these games preloaded, and once you plug in and press the power, it's already there. So you're not telling me once it's preloaded on the disc, you couldn't do an online leaderboard type situation, or probably friends list, or introduce a multiplayer capabilities. Because Denny was telling me that with the Mario 64 mod that they have for the PC, they have introduced a multiplayer capability once you set the servers up that you could jump in and play with your friends and collect stars in one of the most iconic Mario games on the Nintendo 64. And just it's like knowing that there's people not on Nintendo's level. And when I say not on their level, as far as working for Nintendo in their corporation, on their payroll, that has the know-how to make this stuff happen, but Nintendo sees it and refuses to implement these changes into their games, refuses to make these things, a standard for their recreations or their remasters, and then try to go and blackball and blacklist these creators who's made this option available. Think about it. Super Mario 64 with friends, amazing. But imagine playing, say, The Legend of Zelda, a multiplayer, I don't know, if they added a PvP mode, or if they added, say, I don't know, a different, some type of online capability or something that'll keep it in tune. Because I'm going to be really honest, because once you're on the Xbox or some of these newer gen systems, it's that capability or functionality that keeps you engaged and keep you entertained. Because think about it, you're online on your Xbox. Let's think about Xbox One. I can't even say that. The PlayStation. You know, you can say the Xbox One, but the Xbox One even had internet functionality. But if you was to say back to like the original PlayStation, or even the PlayStation 2 that came with the modem, it didn't have the interface set up as far as the UI on the back end for people to log in, play with their friends list. It was only really meant for like Final Fantasy. So once you take it to the Xbox, where they did give you the opportunity for gamer tags and headsets and interaction and online play, that definitely changes everything. And like a fun game becomes an extremely fun game. Like I remember the first time I enjoyed Call of Duty multiplayer. Yes, enjoyed, because I played Call of Duty 4, I've played these games, but when I played World at War, I'm not gonna lie, I felt that that was the most fun I've had playing with people and a shooter type game like Call of Duty. So when I see that, it's just like it's crazy. Like that type of functionality is crazy. So like it's just weird to see. That like that's just all. But you know, I'm just really trying to see what they're trying to do with the future, cuz like basically they know the hype is there. They're capitalizing off the hype, and it's like they know there's going to be shortages. They're not trying to treat it like the NES Classic, but I feel like it's going to go to fate of the NES Classic, despite how much that they provide. Because just look at the Nintendo's history. They had problems providing the Wii. They're having problems providing the Switch. They're going to have problems with. They had problems with the NES Classic. They're going to have problems with the SNES Classic. That's a given. That's a given. But you know, how long is these problems going to go for, or are these problems going to be even worth what you're going out there for? That's how I'm looking at it. The Super Nintendo Classic, I think, is dope, but I think it'd be doper if it were to be a lot more engaging or hot or appealing if it wasn't a system. I know that's like a super hot take, but if you feel where I'm going, when they made the sample with the Super Mario Run, I feel like they were on the right track. If they were to do the SNES Classic and just made all those games digital, download, bang, get it from straight to your phone. Excuse me, straight to your phone. You play and you interact with it like that. I think that would have had a better upside for what they were trying to do, because now you could play it on a high res. You don't have to buy the system, so you kill the cost of the overhead, and then you could choose the games you want. And then even if you were to say $5 a game and buy all the games you want, and you wanted like 5 games, that's what, $25. Say you got 10 games, that's $50. Still, that's cheaper than what, and you're playing it on a hardware that you own, that you could sync. Say you have an iPhone, it can go straight to your TV, Apple TV. There's software to do that. Like I see so much upside like that, because I feel like they're trying to upcharge you for the hardware, and the hardware is really nothing there except just simulating an emulator on whatever they design. So that's the takeaway for me. It's like I just don't feel like this was worth what they're heading out for. You know, big shouts to Denity. Um, I think he should be doing the review soon or later. We should be looking forward to that. But it's just as far as knowing that this is what it is. Like, hey,